I personally found this one tricky a little bit. So we have an array. So this is array1, make2. So we're given two integer arrays, a and b, and we want to return a new array length 2 containing as much as will fit. So in this sense, it's saying, well, we are going to have an array of length 2. So we want to sort of fill a quota of elements. That is to say, we want at least 2 elements in our array, or at least the new array that we're creating. And the elements from B will essentially, so here, this is A and this is B in this example. And we want to return a new array, which in this case would be this one. And we want to return all the elements from A. And if there are not at least 2 elements, because of course, remember, we have a quota of filling 2 elements. If there are not at least 2 elements in A, then hop over to B and get the remainder. So if there's only one element in A, remember, we want to have at least 2 elements. So if there's only one element in A, we want to hop over to B and get the remainder. So we want to fill that quota. And of course, if there are no elements if there are no elements at all in A, then we want all 2 of B. In other words, even if the B array has length 3 or length 4, we are just really concerned with the first 2 elements because we have a quota. We want to have at least 2 elements. So if you think about it, if a.length is essentially equal to 1, then we know that we have at least one element, and we would be at this case over here. If a.length is in fact equal to 1, then we want to return a new int array, right? So we want to return a new int array, and I'll tell you exactly what we want in that integer array. So we want to return a new int array, and we want the first element of A, because of course there's only one element there, and that would of course be A of 0, because of course we're referencing the index we're referencing the element by the index, and so we want A sub 0. But we also want, of course, we have to fill a quota of 2. So this array that we're returning here, it has to fill a quota of 2. And so not only do we want the first element, but we want to hop on over to the next array and grab the first element from there, because we want to have at least 2 elements, either from A or B. And since A doesn't have at least 2 elements, we'll go ahead and grab the next element from B. And so we do this here, and so we have B, and we have B of 0. Okay, and so we grab A of 0 and we grab B of 0, and so now we have at least 2 elements in our array. But of course, if a.length is essentially equal to 0, then well, in that case we have no elements in A at all. In other words, to fill our quota of having 2 elements, we'll actually need to return a new int array, and that int array will essentially consist of B sub 0 and of course A sub 0. Or rather B sub 1, sorry. So the first 2 elements of B, if of course there are no elements at all in the A array. So in return new int, and then of course A in sub 0 and B sub 0, and return new integer, and then of course B sub 0 and B sub 1. So there's one thing that we're not taking into account. One thing is, of course, that if we want to have a, so here we've taken into account 2 things, that the length is either 1 or the length is either 0, or sorry, the length is either 1 and the length is either 0. But what if the A array actually has 2 elements? What if we can grab all the elements that we need from the A array? Well, in that case, it gets a little simpler, because we can just return a new int array, and that will essentially consist of, yeah, I think we can just return a new integer array, and that would just consist of the first 2 elements of the A array. And I think if let's see here, seems like we're missing something. Yeah, I think it was a syntactical error, but if we return everything now, we're pretty much set. So if the length of the array is 1, then we'll return the first of the A array and the second of the B array, or the first of the A array and the first of the B array, but which would of course be the second element in our array that we have right now. And a.length, if it's 0, then we'll just grab both elements from the B array. Otherwise, we assume that that the A array actually has 2 elements, and so we'll just return those 2 elements.